Seven new Pokemon, huh?
Pokemon! 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 Pokemon!
Hello everyone, I'm Dustin Benzel, and welcome to this short Pokemon Sun and Moon video about 7 new Pokemon. I'm not going to go in depth in this particular video because I want to wait for further information down the line, but I will talk about the Pokemon, their designs, and how I feel about it and stuff. So we have 7 new Pokemon that were revealed, mini trailers, and then the Japanese released a trailer. And I don't know if this has anything to do with the July 1st video or not, but we still have that to look forward to. So of course we're going to talk about this. I put it in the order of the Pokemon that I like the designs the least to the most for the most part, and some were simply just because I like them better or whatever. So of course, when these were first revealed, I'm going to be straight up honest here. This seems like, well, let's see, I would say like 3 or 4 of them seem to be like separate designs by different artists. Like these should be like Pokemon from other generations or whatever. But even though I'm not entirely feeling it with some of these Pokemon, you know, I'm not going to say they're like horrible or whatever. They just do look extremely awkward. And even though we have relatively Sugimori art for them, I still need to see them in other medias before I can be fully okay with some of them. A lot of them are really good and awesome, but some of them are a little bit weird. So let's go, of course, to my least favorite of the bunch, simply because it's weird. And of course, I'm going to use the names that were revealed before. They may not be their actual names, so just wanted to let you know that they might not actually be the names of the Pokemon. They've been everywhere and stuff, and we haven't really got names for them, I don't believe. So for the most part, these are mostly possible names. Now, there are some that seem to be the Japanese, like the first one I'm going to talk about, and then the last one seem to be the Japanese names as well, for the most part, so those might be confirmed and may very well be confirmed. But let's go ahead and go through this one. The one that I'm least like, and it's just because it's a weird amalgamation of all these other Pokemon, is of course the Pika clone of this generation, and that's Togedemaru, or however you want to pronounce it. You know, I can see how it's cute and adorable, but you know, it just looks like a ball. It looks like some sort of mouse, porcupine, hedgehog, and in the gameplay footage, its design looked like it was inspired by Gulpin a little bit, at least the body shape or whatever. The only interesting thing about this particular Pokemon is it's an electric steel, which is definitely interesting. I'm not going to go into its ability. It has, is it this one? No, there's another Pokemon that has a different ability that's kind of interesting, but I'm not going to go into abilities, just types and what I think of them, and the names of these particular Pokemon. So, Togedemaru is pretty cute, I guess. I just don't like the the combination of like different creatures into one. I just don't think it works well with Togedemaru, but it's okay. So the next one, of course, is the pre-evolution of another Pokemon that was revealed, and a lot of people are saying that this is Grubbin's evolution. Now, to be fair, I don't necessarily have a problem with what it looks like. It just doesn't really look like an interesting Pokemon by itself, and of course, that's Charjabug. Now, Charjabug, I believe, is Bug Electric. At least its evolution is Bug Electric, and it seems like it could be the evolution of Grubbin. It would actually make sense, and it seems like my theory was right that it could definitely be a Bug Electric Pokemon. So this is just like your basic, I mean, I guess it's kind of cool because it has those like weird windshield eyes, maybe from like a vehicle or something like that. And it does kind of look like some sort of charger or something that you'd plug in an outlet you know, with like a two-pronged outlet or something like that. It seems like you would just plug it in and it would work. So I guess that's kind of what they're going for, but it's still kind of weird, and its mouth is kind of cool since it's got like that metallic look to it or whatever. And you know, it does have those windshield eyes or whatever. So yeah, I guess there are some interesting aspects about it, but I just don't really care for it overall. I mean, like Swadloon was a little bit more interesting. Metapod and Kakuna, Silcoon over Cascoon. You know, I guess it's a Cocoon. They're not supposed to be all that impressive. This one is just extremely weird, though. But we did see that it did evolve into another Pokemon that I will talk about later. But it's kind of not confirmed, but it's likely to be Grubbin's middle stage. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. And also this Charjabug, I didn't want to go too in-depth into this, but it can learn Spark, which seems to confirm my theory that because Grubbin actually has Swarm as an ability, it potentially would be like Swaddle and have a large moveset outside of the other worm-like Pokemon, so I'm hoping that's the case. Now, the reason why this is the next one is simply because I like the other Pokemon better, but it's still a pretty cool-looking Pokemon for what it is. I mean, it is outrageous looking or whatever, you know, and it does kind of look like a clown, or well, I wouldn't call it a clown really, but it's clown-like, and of course that's the fish, and it's Bruxish, or whatever, and it looks like a very elegant, feminine-looking fish Pokemon or whatever that you don't want to deal with or whatever. I don't know what fish it's based off of, but you know, it's kind of got like sharp teeth and stuff, and it has like some sort of antenna or whatever, something like those lanternfish have or whatever, only not quite like Lantern, the actual Pokemon. So not like an anglerfish, but it kind of has that like bulb or whatever. You see the picture. So yeah, it's pretty okay. It's pretty decent. I just like the others a little bit more. But yeah, it's very colorful, and I guess I like it for that. It's definitely going to be interesting. Kind of looks like Basculin, though. I don't know if this is going to evolve into, like, Milotic, which would be amazing. If this was a Pokemon that could evolve into, like, Milotic, or, well, not into Milotic, but a Milotic-like Pokemon, or Gyarados-like Pokemon, now that would be cool. But I feel like it's going to be like Basculin of the 5th generation. So then we go into one that just ranks higher just because it's so cute. Oh, and Bruxish is a water psychic type, by the way. So of course, let's go back into what I thought was really cute and everything. And even the name, at least the temporary name right now, seems to indicate that it is very cute. And of course, that's Cutiefly. Cutiefly is a bug fairy type, and it looks like such a cute Pokemon. It's very small. I think it might be up with Joltik for the smallest Pokemon in existence or whatever. But Cutiefly is definitely going to be interesting Pokemon, and if it can evolve, it'll definitely be interesting to see what it evolves into. So then, of course, we get into this very... So there's really nothing I can say about, but the Bug Fairy typing is definitely something that's interesting. So let's move on to the next Pokemon, which is a little bit better. When I saw this, it was like probably the most hilarious, cool-looking Pokemon that we have so far in this one. I think, well, there was other Pokemon, but this is the one that stood out the most when the Pokemon were first revealed, and it's the one that I've paid most attention to. And of course, that's Drampa. While it's not the best, there are two others that I like better, but it's still a fairly cool Pokemon. And it's a normal dragon type, which is really cool. A lot of people are thinking maybe this could be Dunsparce's evolution. While it doesn't look like Dunsparce, I could kind of see how it could evolve into that. I mean, color schemes aren't everything, and of course, Dunsparce does have a little bit of green that it could potentially evolve into this. But I don't know. I think Drampa might be its own Pokemon line. It could be the pseudo-legendary. I don't know, but Drampa definitely looks like a cool-looking Pokemon, and it's definitely a cool-looking dragon. It's got this very... It looks like, what is it? Shigor? Falcor? Falcor? Is that it? Yeah, Falcor from Never Ending Story. That's who it looks exactly like. So, yeah, a dragon like that is pretty cool, you know. So I definitely will enjoy it. So yes, let's of course move on to one of my favorites so far, and this is the evolution of Charjabug, and that's of course Vikavolt. At least the temporary name anyway. Vikavolt is definitely a beetle-like Pokemon, and definitely looks like the final evolution of Grubbin, because if I'm not mistaken, grubs or whatever, insects or whatever you want to call it, larvae that are described as bugs, typically metamorphosize into beetles, like how caterpillars are like butterflies or moths or something like that. Grubs, the worm grub or whatever, metamorphosizes into beetles, at least so I've been told. So definitely seems like it makes sense, especially when you consider that Grubbin is a Pokemon that loves electricity, and we got a bug electric type right here that's a beetle. You know, everything just seems to be falling into place that this is the, of course, final evolution of Grubbin, and it looks amazing. This is like one of the cooler Pokemon that this generation has to offer, and yeah, just really cool. So, yeah, there's really nothing I'd say about that, but I'm just looking forward to seeing this in Pokemon or whatever. Next, we go into something that I wasn't aware, that I didn't talk about before in my videos. It's just something that I just overlooked or whatever. And of course, that's supposedly the guardian of the Melamela Island or whatever. I think that's the starting island that you're in, is called the Melamela Island, or what. I'm probably saying that wrong. But it was mentioned in like E3 or something. I didn't mention this because I wasn't aware of it enough until it was brought up again. See, I knew about it, but just in a very small spurts or whatever. It just was something that I couldn't really talk about. I mean, I think I did talk about how there was like guardians for the 4 islands. I think I mentioned a little bit about that, but I totally forgot that one of them was actually named, and the name for one of them was Tapu Koko, and this is what this particular Pokemon is. The reason it's number one is because this is the one that is most Pokemon-like of all the other ones that have been revealed. This is something that I definitely would expect to see in a Pokemon, especially when we're talking about a themed generation with a themed Pokemon. This would make the most sense to me, you know, as for a Pokemon. So that's why it's number one, because this is the most Pokemon of all the other Pokemon. The other ones are fine, they're Pokemon or whatever, just a little off or whatever, but this one stands out the most. Some people are saying it's legendary. Some people in the forums are disagreeing with me in regards to Hala, the old man, owning it. But when we saw the trailer, Hala was the supposed trainer for the Tapu Koko, so I don't know what people are talking about. I don't know if this is a legendary. This is a electric fairy, I believe is what it said. I think it was an electric fairy. I think it was described as an electric fairy. Yeah, Tapu Koko is an electric fairy with the ability Elec Maker, which... Oh, but sorry, I'm not going into abilities right now until further information on Pokemon in general is over, and then I'll talk a little bit more about these in depth. But it really does look amazing, and I am most definitely looking forward to this the most out of any Pokemon of all. I personally do not want this to be a legendary. I want this to be a very rare evolved Pokemon. I want this thing to have pre-evolutions, and the evolution mechanic to evolve into this is so ridiculous, so extravagant, that's why this Pokemon is so rare. That's why this Pokemon is so esteemed or whatever. Why this Pokemon is considered a deity or whatever, or just a Pokemon. But I want this to just be an evolved Pokemon, because I do not want this Pokemon to be full a legendary. I don't want this to be a standalone. I want something that can evolve into this. I want this to be a part of my team, even more than Vikavolt. If I can only have one electric type, it would be Tapu Koko, because that thing is amazing. That means I can't have Cutie Fly. It also means if I wanted it, I couldn't have Togedemaru. You know, this is a thing that I want on my team so badly because of its design. This has got to be, so far, my favorite Pokemon revealed of 7th generation is Tapu Koko. Hands down. It's definitely going to be my favorite, probably fairy type of the generation. I don't know. I mean, Vikavolt could be my favorite bug type of this particular generation, so maybe Tapu Koko could be my favorite electric type or whatever. But man, I just want this to be evolved Pokemon. I want to be able to catch a weaker version of this and evolve it into this and have it just be like my pseudo legendary or a Pokemon with 540 base stat total. This is the Pokemon that I want on my team. If it is a legendary, I'm going to have to choose Vikavolt, which is fine. I just really, really wanted Tapu Koko on my team. It's just that if it's a legendary and there's only one of them, you know, and it's like a one-of-a-kind Pokemon, it's probably just going to sit in my PC because I don't really deal with legendaries all that much. You know, I one legendary Pokemon that I did have, and it wasn't really necessarily my favorite. It was just my strongest, and that of course was when I played Emerald or Ruby or something like that. And one of my Pokemon was Rayquaza. It wasn't necessarily, it was my favorite legendary of that generation, mind you. I definitely preferred it over Groudon and Kyogre, probably because it was a powerful dragon flying, and I didn't really care for the ground and water of Groudon and Kyogre. But this, but Rayquaza was on my team. Now, for the whole team, it was one of the few Pokemon that I got to level 100. The other was my starter, which was Blaziken, and that was probably in Ruby because I think because Ash had Trico or Grovyle in the anime, I think I chose Trico because originally Blaziken was my favorite 3rd generation starter. It really was. But then Ash had Trico, Grovyle, and Sceptile. Well, he didn't have Sceptile at the time, obviously. But he had Trico and Grovyle, and then I just saw Sceptile, and I'm like, man, if Ash is getting a Sceptile, that would be really cool. And that's why I switched over to Trico and Grovyle and Sceptile, simply because Ash had like a Trico and Grovyle in the anime at that time. You know, Blaziken was number 1 because it was the first one revealed, and its design was kicking, and I enjoyed Sky Uppercut, maybe Blaze Kick, and Mirror Move, I believe, was one of the moves that my level 100 Blaziken had in Ruby. But, you know, Rayquaza was up there as well. And, you know, I don't think this is going to be Solgaleo Lunala strong. It's probably going to be like Darkrai or even like Heatran or Zapdos or something like that if this is a legendary, but I don't want Tapu Koko to be a legendary. It's too cool to not be a Lucario type Pokemon. You know, Lucario was critically acclaimed for its for what it was, and it seemed like it was a legendary. It turned out it could evolve from something. That's what I want Tapu Koko to be. I want to be able to have that on my team. I don't care if I have to defeat the Elite Four 50 times, surf to the truck in the middle of next to Saint Anne, and use strength on a machine just to get the Mew candy to evolve it. Okay, I just want this to be a Pokemon that can be easily gotten and that you can have multiple of them potentially. Because I just don't want this to be a one-of-a-kind legendary. I mean, I know if it was a one-of-a-kind legendary, that would make it so much more important, but it is just too cool of a Pokemon to be the legendary status. And when a Pokemon has a legendary status or a mythical status, I don't really pay much attention to them, simply because to me, when I'm playing a game, it kind of it kind of gives me an unfair advantage, in my opinion. You know, when I had level 100 Rayquaza, it was like I could sweep the Elite Four with just my Rayquaza. Even Glacia gave me no problems with Rayquaza, so I just don't want this to be a legendary. And if it is a legendary, that means it's going to take forever to get it. Probably I'll have to defeat the league. You know, the fact that it's being shown in the games really makes me hope that it is just a very powerful, fully evolved Pokemon. I'll concede if it's a legendary, but I'm just saying it's right now my favorite 7th generation Pokemon. I Peck, so far my favorite flying type, even more than Rowlet. Rowlet is the only grass type revealed, so I guess it could be my favorite grass type. You know, Vikavolt is a very awesome electric bug type. You know, Drampa is a pretty cool dragon type. Cutiefly, a bug fairy. Definitely a cute fairy or whatever. You know, but Tapu Koko, I just want it to be an evolved Pokemon. It could be the pseudo-legendary of this generation, and I would be perfectly fine with that. So yeah, I think I've drooled all over Tapu Koko enough and these Pokemon. So I'm really mixed. I don't know why the art style changed so dramatically from the Pokemon that have been revealed so far and to these new batches, outside of a couple Pokemon like Bruxish, Vikavolt, and Tapu Koko or whatever. But yeah, this video has gone longer than I want, but I will go more in depth later. Not too much more in depth, but I'll talk about the abilities in a Pokemon.com update. I will, of course, discuss any interesting flavor text that they have to offer in that particular video. I just want to get this particular video out and done and stuff or whatever, just because it's out and it's something that I can do. So anyway, next video will probably be the June 1st video if there's anything new. Hopefully there are. Hopefully it's something that Pokemon.com will reveal and reveal more information that I can talk about, even if it's like a 10-15 minute video. So anyway, thank you for watching. I'm Dustin Benzel, and I will see you in my next video. Goodbye.